Hello, and welcome to the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. I'm Amanda Butland, your host and intuitive life coach. All right, well, welcome to another episode of the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. Today, my special guest is Colin C. Thompson, a life coach and speaker. Colin, it's so great to have you with me today. Thanks for being here.
It is a joy to be on your podcast, Amanda.
Thank you. All right, well, I'm going to ask you my little icebreaker question that I ask all of my guests. Would you mind sharing with us what hobby or activity brings you the most joy and why?
And this is a great question because I had to actually say which one, because I have so many things now that bring me joy. And I think you and I had a brief conversation a few weeks ago. I had a totally different thing, but now I have another one. And first of all, let me just say I'm blessed and happy to have so many things that bring me joy. What brings me joy now is making sure that within the first hour of waking up, I'm outside walking, and either I have nothing on me. I have no phone, nothing going in my ear except my thoughts. And I do that because I'm at a point now where I'm able to have very positive thoughts. I talk to myself very well. I love myself very, very, very well as well. And it's important to me because when you start your day being loved by yourself, then everything, you prepare for the day. So what brings me joy is starting my day and filling up my cup with my own joy, with my own self-empathy and love.
Wow, I love that. That is amazing. Yes. And, because I think that's the one thing that a lot of people overlook, right? Filling your own cup to start out the day so that you can sort of come into the world with this full cup to be able to then spread that joy, whatever it is that you're bringing to the world and everybody else that interacts with you. So that's amazing. I love that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. And what's great about that is when I'm walking back into my home, I say to myself, hey, Colin, when you walk in this door, whatever mindset you're in, whatever display, your family's going to copy. So when you go in that door, make sure you're going in there happy, joyous, and let them get infected by that happiness and joy. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're just going to dive right in. I always like to ask people, especially life coaches, because I always find it's an interesting journey of how you got to where you are today. What was it that got you into life coaching?
IBM. Quite frankly, it's a strange answer, right? But I was looking for IBM many years ago, and I was here in China, and a lot of times we had senior leaders who would travel here to work who weren't comfortable in a new work environment. They had their Western culture, working way of work, but coming here to China is very different. So a lot of times I was asked to coach leaders on how to manage their teams of in a different way. And that's where I got my first taste of coaching, and I went through a pretty rigorous internal program. And Amanda, prior to doing that, I didn't believe in coaching. If I would go to an event and somebody said, "Hey, I'm a life coach," life coach, ha 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 ha, live life. You just live life. But that experience changed me because as I went through the program to learn how to be a coach, which I thought was interesting. But when I started coaching leaders, the first month was just okay. But when they came back month two and said, Colin, what we talked about, or Colin, here's how I'm doing now, and I saw the change,
Mm.
that's when I said, hey, this coaching thing might be real. And I'll tell you what really helped me shift was when I was in sort of a conundrum. As somebody who was coaching internally, you want to coach the leaders on how to be more valuable employees. That's about the bottom line. More valuable employees, how they can lead their teams better. But sometimes, as you're coaching somebody, you may realize the best next step for this person is not with an organization. It may be somewhere else. And I found that doing internal coaching, your hands are kind of tied as to whether or not you can actually be an authentic coach and allow them to see what's best for them, or always shape it back into.
Mm.
So I had the fortune of being bought out of IBM a number of years ago, and it was the best thing that could happen to me because once I left IBM, I said, I'm not doing my resume again. I'm not going back to corporate work. I'm going to open my own coaching practice. And that's been 8 years ago. And it has been a tremendously joy. Well, not, no, it's not been a joyful. It's been a journey.
I'm sure it has been a journey. Anytime you sort of like go off on your own, right, and start your own practice, it's there's some struggle there. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I love what you said around sort of like the constraints a little, some of the constraints that exist when you're coaching internally, like because you are employed by the company, and so it's sort of like there's that balance right between like what's best for the client, but then like your coachee, but also then the who's paying you and the the corporate needs and why they assigned you as to coach somebody. So it's interesting that you bring that up because I don't know a lot of coaches that I've spoken to who had that were internal coaches and then sort of made that shift. But I love that you brought that up because now you have the freedom to not necessarily be bound by sort of some of those constraints, and that must be very freeing.
Well, I wish, but actually it's not because, as you know, when you're out here with your own coaching practice and you have different clients, if you B2B or B2C, B2B to consumer, one-on-one coaching is fine. That's
Mm,
usually personal development. But the clients who I gotta say pay the best is B2B, is the
mm,
corporates. And they still want you to come in and coach their leaders, and they still want you to coach, they want you to do what's best for the company. And as a coach, you have to realize at the end of the day, you're being hired by the company to what's best for the company. So you do have to coach the individual, and your hands are kind of tied. But as an experienced coach, you know how to bring the best out of that leader within the confines of the organization. But it's freedom, but not as freeing as we want it to be. But I got not gonna lie, when they pay the invoice, oh, it feels so good.
mm. Absolutely. All right. So let's go a little bit. We're gonna sort of leave this sort of like how you got here. And I really want to focus on really the meat of this is what is it that you do, right? Because you do coach leaders. And I know, every coach has got their niche. So I would love for you to maybe talk a little bit more about, what is it that you do specifically to help these leaders in their transformation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And if possible, I'd like to sort of take you through a little experiment if you're okay with that.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay. So if I'm correct, you're in California, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And I know there's various people from all over the world in California, a lot of different nations of people, and it's very, very culture rich. So Amanda, in your travels throughout the world, in your experience with other cultures, what to your what is the best nation?
I don't know that there is really a best nation, right? Because all countries have sort of their uniqueness to them. I don't know that there's any one that's just the best. It's sort of like this place has its positives, but I mean, every place has its positives and its negatives, right? So I don't know that
Yes.
I can answer that question.
If you had to pick one, which one would you pick?
If I had to pick one, oh my goodness, that's a really hard question to answer. I don't know that I could pick one.
Okay, I'll take you off the hotspot. Off the hotspot. And I'm going to, no matter what answer you said, I would say to you, that's a great answer, but it's wrong. In my experience, Amanda, throughout traveling the world and being my age now, the best nation is imagination.
I love that. Oh wow, yes, it is. It really is.
Now, I kind of set you up for that, right? But the best nation is imagination, and I say that because what I do now with my clients is I help them to sort of step out of the box and to learn how to have imagination again.
Mm.
And I want to take you through one more example, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I love
Okay.
imagination. It's like one of my
Okay.
favorite things to play in, actually. So I'm excited
Okay.
for this.
Okay. I hope it works. I hope it works. It's live, right? So, Amanda, very quick, give me 10 things that can't exist.
10 things that cannot exist.
Using imagination, give me 10 things that's impossible. Using imagination, 10 things that can't exist. Impossible.
Impossible. Impossible.
Using imagination.
Like impossible today? Like, could it be
Yes.
possible in the future?
Today. Today.
So impossible today.
Yeah.
So a person walking on Mars.
Okay. 10
Okay, that's
things.
probably. 10 things. I know this is going to be hard. I don't know that I can come up with 10.
Let's do six. Let's do six.
I'm sorry, with what?
Let's do six. Let's do six.
Okay, six. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do
Don't
six.
think too deep. Whatever comes to your mind.
Okay,
Whatever comes to your
okay.
mind.
A whale walking around in the forest.
Okay.
Um, a peacock speaking English.
I'm in trouble. Okay.
Hey, I told you
Yeah.
imagination is one of my favorite things to
Yep. Yep.
play
Yep.
in.
Yep.
So, okay.
Few more. Quickly, 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 quickly,
Let's
quickly,
see.
quickly, quickly,
Oh my
quickly.
goodness, quickly. Ice that melts at zero, I mean, negative minus 40 degrees Celsius.
Okay. Okay. Melting ice, melting very cold temperature. Okay. What else?
Okay. Oh
Quick,
my gosh.
quick, quick, quick.
Chickens that fly. Pigs that
Okay.
fly.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna
Pig
go with
fly.
pigs that fly also. And was that five?
That's
I
fine.
didn't hit six yet. Okay, last
Two
one.
more. Two more. Two more.
Last
Two more. Two more.
Oh, two more. I need
Yeah. Two
two
more.
more.
Two
Oh my
more.
goodness. Okay. Um, goldfish that remember things for many years. And
But we can't prove they don't. we can't prove they don't.
okay.
I got
Okay,
a challenge one.
how about goldfish that can swim through liquid silver?
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
and and flamingos that are blue.
Blue flamingos. Okay. I mean, I could dye flamingo blue, but I'll go with that. Okay. So blue. Okay. So think we have 8 things here, and let me just tell you, you totally did a great job. Okay. And if you can see I'm going to show you my screen. So let me know when you
Okay.
see my screen.
All right, so Colin just shared his screen, and for those of you that are just listening, I'm going to go ahead and read it so you can hear what it says. Colin's list. Number 1, time travel. Number 2, go to Mars. Number 3, live forever. Number 4, humans can fly. Number 5, invisibility. Number 6, born again. Number 7, no sickness. Number 8, choose parents. Number 9, talk to the dead. And number 10, walk on water. Okay, this is your list. Oh
This is
wow,
my list.
going to Mars. So that's I had that. I had
Right.
walking
Right.
on
Your first
Mars.
answer. Your
Okay.
first answer, by the way, going to Mars, and that's it. That's it. Now,
That was the only thing we had in common.
that's
Okay.
the only thing. That's the only thing. We live forever. Humans can fly. Yeah, animals can fly. Things can fly. And born again, no sickness. Choose parents. Talk to the dead. Walk on water. So this list here. So I do this activity a lot, and whenever this is my second time doing it. Are you an educator?
No.
Okay, because teachers also they work with kids with great imagination. So the bottom line is usually adults have at least 5 or 6 things in common with this. And what I tell them,
Oh.
yeah, based on this, our imagination is terrible. We could think of a million
Well,
things.
like some of the things on your list, I'm like, are we sure it's not impossible? Like,
I think so far today,
okay.
right? So far today.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So and when I take people through this, and I do this also when I speak to groups, people are just shocked and amazed at how many things are on a common list. If we have 5 things, I say you could have said this pen flies in my mouth and not my butt, right? We didn't you didn't say that. So
No.
what I do is I help my clients to really get out of their own way, because a lot of times, for example, if we surveyed 100 people and said, how would they finish a sentence? I wish I had eyes. They're thinking in the back of my head, right? That's what most people would say. I wish I had eyes in the back of my head. That's memory. That's memory.
Mm.
So when you talk to a client and say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you want to be doing in 5 years? A lot of times they say, well, I don't think I'm getting too old. So maybe in the same job or maybe the same part of life. And I say, no, take off your governor, right? Take off your restraint. If you could really use imagination, and if you knew for a fact it would work, what would it be? And after a few sessions, they come back with, wow, God, they have all these tremendous ideas because they're no longer limited by their past or what their friends think. So a lot of times I'm helping my clients to really learn how to really, really use imagination and lose part of the memory.
Mm, I love that sort of. Yes, I just want to expand on that a little bit because I really love that so much. It's sort of like when people, I mean, because I think a lot of people sort of that have just gone through the motions of, going to school, graduating from college, getting the good job, the good paying job, like sort of going along, and then they sort of like get to this point where it's like, well, what am I doing this all for? And is there anything beyond this? And it oftentimes is this journey of like, I really need to figure out what it is that I want to do. And I don't even know what that might be because I have had these sort of like blinders on, right? Of just going down this path that's what's expected of people, right? And so I love that you help people sort of take those blinders off so they can sort of see beyond what's on this like standard path and be able to like broaden people's horizons, sort of like to be able to see beyond that. I love
Yes.
that.
Yeah. And Amanda, the funny thing is, well, the funny thing, I think the beautiful thing about this is part of that process before I start to help them understand to use their imagination better, I help them understand that this is great. They're telling themselves, I now need to do something else. I need
Mm,
change. I need improvement. So a lot of times they'll come and say, I'm very frustrated right now because I'm living this lifestyle. I'm working this job, and this doesn't feel like it's me. And this is what
mm,
I'm known for. And I say, look, this is great because your body, your mind, and your soul is rejecting rejecting the way things are now, and it's urging you to find something new. So look at this
mm,
as a tremendous first step, right? There will be several steps, but this is a tremendous first step. And because your first step, you should be being pulled into the future, not pushed by fear, right? So you
mm,
want to be pulled by the hope of the future. So this is a
mm.
tremendous first step.
Yeah, I like what you just said there about being pulled to the future with hope instead of being sort of like pushed. Was it pushed by fear?
Yeah,
Because I think, when people do sort of get to that point of I don't know what to do or I don't know where to go from here. It often is the fear that is holding people back and sort of keeping them in that same place. And they sort of have to just push through that to get to a place where they can then, not just step outside their imagination and actually see beyond what's beyond the blinders, but get to a place where they're actually maybe not comfortable with it, but at least starting to take movement outside of sort of those boundaries that have been set by I don't know if it's themselves or society or whatever it is that sort of like kept them in sort of that lane.
yeah. And one great way to really make that shift or start making that shift is to every day go for a 1 hour walk with no pets, no headsets, no phones, just you and your thoughts, and make sure you're thinking about what's on your mind. What's next? What's next?
Mm,
What's next? What's next? Because after 5 or 6 days, it's gonna hit you while you're in the shower. Oh, this is what this is right. So you want to plant that seed though. So subconsciously, you're always looking for to answer the question: What's next? What's
mm.
next? What's next? What's next?
Yeah, I like that you bring up the shower because I think that's where a lot of people have their really great thoughts.
Only problem with the shower, we don't have a pen and a notepad in the shower. That's the only problem. Forget about
Oh,
everything else.
there is. I actually had somebody tell me about this thing called Aqua Notes, and it's actually like waterproof, like it's plasticky paper, and it's like suction cups to your shower wall, and it's got like a
Really,
pencil, and you can actually write on it in the shower. I had somebody tell me about that, and I'm like, that's the most amazing like
that is
invention
amazing.
ever. I'm like, everybody needs one of those in the shower.
I bet someone was in the shower saying, "Hey, I need." That's how they admit that, right?
Right,
Oh,
absolutely. So funny. All right. Um, all right. So I do want to I keep going forward with sort of like a little bit more on this because I just like I love the imagination piece. I kind of want to go a little bit more with this because I'm like
okay.
because you mentioned earlier around how most people come up with the same like at least when people come up with that list at least five of them are very similar or common among adults and but you did mention like teachers often are like you mentioned teachers how
Yeah.
they usually don't and you mentioned maybe is it because they're with kids a lot. I'm just curious, do you like have a sense of like what is it about teachers that usually doesn't cause that same like repetition in the list? Is it because they hang out with kids or is it like their imaginations are just more developed because they're hanging out with kids? Any sense of like what that is and why teachers are so
Absolutely.
different?
Now I'm not a certified teacher evaluator, but I can tell you this: for teachers who are working with students under the age of 7 or 8, where I'll say seven under the age of 7, because at that point teachers aren't really I don't want to brainwash them with different topics. It's really letting the kids express themselves, and that's what
Mm,
children really want to express themselves and try all these crazy different things. Um, not older teachers, but teachers who teach kids in middle and high school, I think their imagination may be more typical, if
mm,
I could say that. But I found
okay.
that teachers who have young kids, because they're in that environment, they have, just like you. I mean, Peacock speaking English, oh my, it's gonna be so hard. But I'm happy to see, because I've done this several times, and only twice has it not, this time, and I told the teacher. So
Well, I mentioned I like to hang out my imagination. I've got like a pretty good one.
yeah,
So,
and Amanda, one thing is, people who have a very healthy imagination, they're happier. And
mm,
I say that, I think, because they're when you have a healthy imagination, you're typically thinking of positive things. You're not using imagination to make you more anxious. So I think people who have that healthy imagination, they tend to think of more positive things. What do you think?
I mean, I if you were to ask me personally, because apparently I have a very active imagination, like yeah, I would say that's probably accurate for myself. I mean, I don't know about other people. But yeah, I mean, I guess part of it is because you can't, and it's not just like I think it's the way that you use the imagination too, right? Because um it's not like I just have this imagination and it just exists and I just live with it, but like
Mm-hmm.
the actual use of it, right? Because what is it that we use our imaginations for? It's brainstorming is a lot of it, right? Like coming up with ideas, trying different things. And so when I think about that as well, it's not just the imagination and maybe positive thoughts, but there's always opportunity for creating different things, like having that creative process, um, which means that like you're open to possibility. There's no like you mentioned earlier around people like having those blinders on. Like there are no blinders in the world of like vast imagination.
Right.
And so I think you're right. Like it's like there's no time to sort of sit in negativity because you're always thinking about all the amazing things that could be happening. So maybe that's part. I mean, that's sort of what you said, but right in different words.
Yeah, and I very much I wrote a few things down here as you were speaking, because imagination plus PMA. Do you know PMA?
PMA? No, I do not know PMA.
PMA, positive mental attitude. So when
Okay.
you have that imagination plus PMA, when you come to a challenge, you really challenge an opportunity, right?
Hmm.
Because now, okay, so I just found out that my job is going away at the end of the month. But you know what? I've always wanted to be an architect. I've always wanted to try something else. See, when you have that positive mindset attitude, and your imagination, you can use it and say, "Oh, this is a negative thing. This is a positive thing." Excuse me. This is a positive. This is a positive thing. It's an opportunity, and it's very
Hmm.
important that as we go through life, when we get to a challenge, stand back and say, "How can I make this challenge an opportunity?" And
Hmm.
that's when that positive mindset comes in, plus the imagination. That's why it's so important to have those two coupled together, married together, the positive mindset and the imagination.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. It actually made me think of something that happened to me yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, it was this morning. Super funny. I'm gonna tell this random story because it might be interesting to people that are listening. But I was like, I'm a big fan of like house trance music. I know that probably doesn't seem like a match for me, but I really love just sort of like, and maybe it's like it's that deep like beat, right? Like the quick like anyways, as I was listening to music on the drive into work, to the office today, I was like, I really enjoy music. I took some music theory back at like way back a lot, like I don't know, 40 years ago. I was like, I would love to make music like this. Like, can I do this? Is this something that I could do? Like, I just need to Google this when I get to work. Is this something that I can do? And so I did it, and I was like, I just like share that to say like there's nothing that you can't do if you really want to. And like, why not? Like, I mean, I'm a 50 something year old woman. Like, that's probably not your typical who's going to be DJing in the clubs. But I'm like, why not? Like, could I do it? Sure. So I just
Yeah,
bring that up as an example of like the ability to just, why not? What are
yeah.
the, what, like all the possibilities that are out there, and why limit yourself to anything?
And Amanda, what is so remarkable about your story is so many people have the same idea, the same thoughts, but they say, "Nah, it's too late," or I can't, I can't, I can't." They have the inner voices who are telling them they
Mm,
can't do it. But because you mentioned you have that more positivity, it's more of why not, and I
yeah,
can, and you Googled it.
sure.
Some folks wouldn't even go as far as Googling it, right? So you Googled it. And one thing I've learned, and I'm right now, I'm literally listening to a book, um, Think and Grow Rich, and in it,
Mm,
it's very much talking about planting that seed
hmm.
and going for it, going for it. If you put the idea in your head, you can do it. So I look forward to hearing your first Amanda made house track, because AI now is it's not too difficult. Just so you know, when I was in college, I was a big house head, a lot of house.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm like, it didn't seem like it was that hard. It's like you need to like get a couple of different software things. You need to get, I mean, apparently you need a DJ license. I didn't know that was a thing. And so,
Well, or you can use AI now, right? And you can use AI. There's so many different ways of making music now, and a lot of people I know now are actually making music.
oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so it can't be that difficult. I think I could probably try something out, maybe. I don't know. It sounds like it could be super fun. I'm like, maybe I'll wait because I'm working on a book right now. And so I'm like, maybe I'll wait till the book is done and then I'll pick this up as sort of like a hobby. So,
Well, let me say this too, because where I am, where I am now, it's January the 3rd, right? Where
okay.
you are not, and I want to challenge you because take 2 hours, just take 1 hour and sit down with chat, whichever one you use, and say I want to make music, and it will actually sit there and make music with you. It just take
Ah,
1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour.
okay. All
Yeah.
right. I'll play with it. I'll do it. I mean, I have no issues with like carving out some time and actually going to do it. So yeah, I will do it and I'll let you know.
Yeah, and this is what I go through with a lot of my clients, right? Having the positive mindset and saying, I'm going to do it, I'm going to try. As you
Hmm.
mentioned, you're in your mid 50s, early 50s, but you didn't say, well, it's too late. You said, I still have this
No.
passion out in my
Yeah.
car, still, yeah. So I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, maybe I'll put it on my YouTube channel with my, meditations.
Or new intro music.
Sure. All right. Oh my goodness. This has been a lot of fun, but I do want to start wrapping us up a little bit here. Um, before we end though, I would like to, just ask you any final thoughts, any words of wisdom for our audience today?
Yeah, two things. To your wonderful audience. First of all, your mind can be your best friend, or it can be your worst enemy. Start today to take actions to make sure that your mind is your absolute best cheerleader. Your mind is your absolute best friend, because the one person you're going to be with until you're not here anymore is yourself. So you want to make sure you are the biggest cheerleader. That's the first thing. The second thing, man, a lot of times I get asked by people, Colin, I know you're a positive intelligence guy, mental fitness guy. How do you maintain, or how did you develop your mental fitness? And mental fitness is our ability to go through life in a positive mindset rather than a negative mindset. And I say this, I say the biggest mistake I see people making when they're looking to build up their mental fitness, I say, if you're going to run a marathon, you don't wake up in the morning with no training and run a marathon. You start training, you start with a mile, then 2 miles, and 3 miles, and you build yourself up over a long time period to a marathon. When most people want to improve their mindset and they say, this thing situation is triggering me, it gets me upset, or it makes me feel anxious. How can I fix it? And they try to fix it and they fail and they give up. And I say, well, the problem is your mental fitness isn't strong enough to fix that yet. If you
Hmm.
have a long-standing thing with a family member, don't touch that day one. Touch something very much easier. Tell yourself, no matter what happens driving to work, you won't blow your horn or you won't get mad. If you're stuck in traffic, you won't feel frustrated. Start with something small. When you can travel to work and not be upset because there's gridlock, and you can go there in a positive mindset. Once you have that, move on to something else. A coworker, perhaps, right? But make sure you do not start with the marathon day one, that thing that really triggers you, because it's just too big. And you must take your time slowly and build up your momentum by tackling pet peeves, things that are much smaller. And once that pet peeve doesn't no longer bothers you, go to a larger pet peeve. Keep adding weight, but do not touch your spouse, your kids. Do not touch those long-standing ones until you built up your mental fitness. So I want to make sure your audience understands, don't give up. Let's take one small step, and a bigger step, and a bigger step.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm sure that will be very beneficial to people, for people to just know that you can't just, like you said, run a marathon on day one of training. You do have to work up to it. Because, it, like anything, it just takes practice. So thank you again for being with me today. It has been a pleasure, Colin, speaking with you. I've loved the conversation. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amanda. And thank you very much for bringing me onto your podcast.
All right, here you go. This is my first attempt using AI to create some music, and the outro is coming up after this. I invite you to subscribe to the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast and join our community. If you feel inspired by what you hear, please leave a review and share this podcast with others who might benefit. And remember, it's never too late to embrace balance and discover joy in your life. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes filled with inspiring stories and valuable insights. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself.